Fortnite has confirmed there's going to be a live event at the end of this chapter. You will see the return of the 7 Midas, the Lost Reality. This is going to be the biggest live event we've ever had in Fortnite. But let's go back in time to understand how we got here. Now, the very first live event happened in Chapter 1, Season 4. In the summer of 2018, we saw this mysterious meteoroid crash onto the Fortnite island, creating a massive divot in the middle of the map. Inside the crater, we find this mysterious meteoroid with a pod inside of it. Find out that the door of this pod was open and someone that was inside of this pod has now escaped. And we find out that this wasn't a random meteoroid shower. The meteoroid rock was actually part of a spaceship. This was confirmed in Chapter 2 when we saw the Foundation enter the Fortnite island in the same meteoroid. Later we find out that this mysterious person was the Visitor, and he has created a base right next to Snobby Shore. There was this giant rocket. The first time in history of Fortnite we get a countdown, this live event everywhere on the map. The day has finally arrived, 30th of June 2018. The rocket lifts off, goes in and out of rifts, creating a giant rift portal in the sky. After this rift portal was created, Fortnite was never the same, because in Season 5 we saw the arrival of the Lost Reality. During this random in-game event, this mysterious purple cube appears out of nowhere, starts corrupting everything, melts into the loot lake, creates a floating corrupted island, setting up for our next big event. Floating island was going around the map, corrupting everything. During Season 6, and we saw this mysterious energy started to fight back. It was fighting against the cube's power, and when the cube ran out of all of its energy, it started to spin and then it exploded. To protect us, this mysterious friendly energy teleported us to this world called the In-Between. Turns out this mysterious energy that was protecting us was the 0 point. Each of us got this butterfly land on our finger and rift us back to the Fortnite island. We find out that the cube was gone. Because of the battle between the 0 point and the Lost Reality, which was creating lots of lightning bolts, one of the lightning bolts struck the ice moon, and part of the ice moon crash landed on the island, created a giant ice biome on the map. We see the Ice King, who's actually a prison guard, was guarding evil creatures that was prisoned on the ice moon. It's now on the Fortnite island. Also find a mysterious prisoner inside one of the Polar Peaks dungeon. This mysterious prisoner escaped the dungeon, and it turns out this was the Fire King. The Fire King and the Ice King worked together to capture evil monsters from different realities, kept them on the ice moon. The Fire King starts getting evil and wanted to use those monsters to take over different realities. That is when the Ice King froze the Fire King and kept him imprisoned. But now he has escaped, meaning this could be very dangerous. To capture him, we get our third big live event, the Ice Storm event. The Ice King casts a spell over Polar Peak for 3 days, and when the event started, the Ice King broke out of his ice ball and creates a giant projection of himself and freezes the entire Fortnite island, because he knows that snow is the Fire King's biggest weakness, making it easier for the Ice King to capture the Fire King. The Fire King, being very clever, summons a giant volcano with bunch of geysers so he can protect himself from the cold. And this volcano was going to be our next big event. In Season 8, we got our biggest live event at that point, because this event had 2 parts. The first part, we had to go inside of this vault in the loot lake and had to vote between 6 items. For the second part, the volcano controlled by the Fire King erupted and destroyed Retail Row, Tilted Towers, which we all knew because of leakers that this was coming. But then something unexpected happens. The volcano erupts for the 3rd time. This time the rocks hit the base of the Polar Peak. peak. This was our setup for the Season 9 live event. The molten rock exposes the monster hidden inside of the mountain of Polar Peak. And after a few days, this monster escapes, disappears into the ocean. Now and then we see the monster surface. To defeat this monster, the Imagine Order builds a mech. Finally, in Season 9, Cactus Monster attacks the Fortnite island. We get our second last event of this chapter, the final showdown event. Monster rips the mech apart. When it was about to finish it, the robot opens the vault, uses the power of the 0 point, defeat the monster. The robot flies into the sky to the Seven's headquarters in space, and we won't see the robot until the collision event in chapter 3. Also, the robot has exposed the 0 point for the first time. This was the beginning of the end of chapter 1, because the Seven sees the 0 point exposed, decides this is the right time to attack the 0 point and destroy it. They thought this would end the Fortnite loop. That's exactly what they tried to do in December 2019 during the end event. Seven tried to take the meteoroid and crash into the 0 point, but it completely backfires. Rather than exploding, the 0 point implodes and creates a giant black hole. The black hole sucks everything in. When Fortnite returns after 3 days, we find out that the entire map has been rearranged. We get a chapter 2. And in this chapter, the live event keeps getting better and better. Season 1, we get our very first collaboration live event. We get a big Star Wars live event where we saw J.J. Abrams arrive in Fortnite. Our next huge live event happened when we are introduced to this character called Midas. Midas used to work for the Imagine Order. His dream was to become the leader of the Imagine Order, but he ends up leaving after Jeno, who is the head of the IO, makes Dr. Sloan the leader. As a revenge, Midas decides to create an organization, recruits a bunch of strong members. He makes a plan to create a device to end the Fortnite loop. Rather than destroying the 0 point, he decides to stop the Fortnite storm by not letting it close. To do this, he creates a device at the agency. And in June of 2020, we get our very first huge live event of chapter 2 called the Doomsday event. Agency explodes. We see the Doomsday device push the Fortnite storm. And it works for a little bit. The Fortnite storm is no longer there, meaning the loop cannot restart. But the 0 point starts fighting back and we glitch the system. We escape the 0 point loop, respawn inside of the Imagine Order's headquarters. This was when we were introduced to Agent Jones. And Agent Jones, being very smart, uses the water from the ocean to create a giant tsunami. It replaces the storm, whole map floods, and Midas's plan fails. Agent Jones and the Imagine Order plays a huge part in their next big live event. Thor finds out that Galactus is heading towards the Fortnite island because Galactus eats energy. During the black hole event, the 0 point created a lot of energy. Galactus senses that energy and now he wants to eat the 0 point. To defeat Galactus, Thor summons the Avengers to the Fortnite island. We get a huge Marvel season. Even see Galactus get bigger and bigger in the sky. Finally, the Galactus is here and the Devour of the Worlds event has begun. Galactus attacks the Fortnite island, rips the 0 point and exposes it. Iron Man puts a bunch of bombs in the battle bus, uses the power of the loop to create thousands of battle buses, destroys the Galactus using those thousands of bombs hidden inside the bus. Galactus is gone, but we still have a problem. The 0 point is exposed. This was a setup for our next big event. Because it was exposed, a lot of people was using the 0 point to escape the loop. At the end of season 5, the 0 point destabilizes and is about to explode and create another black hole when Agent Jones, against the order of the Imagine Order, calls the Foundation. Foundation helps helps Agent Jones and fix the 0 point by sealing himself inside of it. This creates a giant spire in the middle of the island, but that gets destroyed shortly after by the Lost Reality. UFO destroys it to get the 0 point. The Imagine Order has hidden the 0 point. UFO mothership sucks in everything to find the 0 point. Dr. Sloan hides bombs inside of buildings, and this was the beginning of the end of chapter 2, the Operation Skyfire event. Dr. Sloan gives us a mission to trigger the bomb inside of the mothership. We go inside, we find the bombs. She reveals that we are actually going to be destroyed with the bomb. There was no escape plan for us, but we discover something that we did not expect. We find a bunch of cubes inside of the mothership. When the bombs explode, all of the cubes inside of the mothership lands on the Fortnite island. This was a setup for our finale event in season 8. In season 8, we've got cubes everywhere, and also we are introduced to this character called the Cube Queen. She creates a giant pyramid with a bunch of cubes. Her plan is to destroy the force field surrounding the Fortnite map, allow the cube cradle and rest of the UFOs to enter the island. But the 7 show up out of nowhere, and we get the end event. The Cube Queen creates a giant rift portal in the sky. We see the cube cradle, the Lost Reality. Just in time, the 7 flips the Fortnite island and defeats the Cube Queen. We get a brand new map. Just when we thought we got peace, finally, we find out that Imagine Order has drilled through from chapter 2 to chapter 3 map. This was a setup for our next big event, because in chapter 3 season 2 we had a huge battle between 7 and the Imagine Order. The Imagine Order creates a giant collider, and to stop this collider, the 7 recreates robot from the monster event. This was the start of the collision event. We take control of the robot with Paradigm. We attack the Imagine Order's headquarters, end up defeating Dr. Sloan. Finally, we all party thinking all the problems are now gone. But this mysterious creature is slowly taking over the island. This person is Harold. Harold attacks the island in season 4 of chapter 3. It abducts every member of the 7 other than the Paradigm, turns everything into chrome, and finally, after thousands of years, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 map is completely destroyed. The start of chapter 4, during this interactive live event, we help the 0 point put together the island, but unfortunately in chapter 4 so far we have not seen a live event yet. But Cato Thorne is here. He wants to take over the entire Fortnite map. Lost Reality are on their way, but this time the force field that used to protect us is no longer there. Season 5 is going to be a setup for this big live event. We might see the Lost Reality return, trying to take over the island. Lots of people suggesting that we might see the 7 and Midas return. This is going to be the biggest live event we have ever had in the history of Fortnite. So please leave a like and subscribe, because you're awesome.